All right, so again, I have Jew Magic here tonight, and we're gonna talk about some sports bets. If you've been paying attention, we've been doing really well on NFL specifically, but college has been doing pretty well as well. And we'll just go ahead and get this started, and I'm sure he'll throw in a few issues that I had. One specifically, the Browns game and that safety. So let's go ahead.
Well, I'm not going to throw that out there. The only thing I'll say about that is it's Monday night, and that's the only explanation. And I've constantly preached: take your cash out Monday morning, throw a 0.25 unit at a Monday night game, and that's about the best you could ask for. If you're going to lose a game, it's going to be Monday night, and there's no reason to go there. I had a $3 DraftKings on Monday night. At one point, I was winning. It was great. I was about to win 100 grand, and that lasted for about 17 seconds. But here's what I'm going to get into. I'm going to talk about the financial strategy that I think it's important to follow from now going forward, because everything changes after this weekend with the college landscape and the amount of games we're looking at. I'm going to get into. Sorry, that's a greyhound in the background. I'm gonna talk about Coastal. I'm gonna talk about the Buffalo Denver. I'm gonna talk about USC. I'm gonna talk about San Jose State, and then I got a special piece of information I'll get into. And then if anybody's interested, after we get off at 7 o'clock, I go on Sports Betting Weekly with Second Half Chaz. I'm on the worldwide sports radio network. You can follow him on Facebook, and then the show goes live through there. It goes on one of the ESPN networks on the East Coast on Saturday, and the gentleman and I, his name's John. We've been 2 weeks. Him and I are combined 12-0 with our on-air picks, and he gets into some hoops. He's been pretty good with the NFL, but there's good information there, and the people that Chaz has aligned himself with are some people that I've truly learned from. So if listening to me isn't enough and you want some more, then by all means log into the show. And again, if you hear a dog howling in the background, he wants to introduce himself. But so the first thing I'm going to say is, I'm not going to say why. I'm not going to say how. I'm just going to say, if you're looking at the Chiefs Saints game, look at the under, and it's a walk away for me. I think that there's going to be some surprises to the roster on Sunday that you don't know about right now. And I'm not going to say anything more than that. I would be very angry with myself if I woke up Monday morning and the Chiefs won the game and I didn't have them at a low spread like 3. But I will say that I have a piece of information that I'm walking away from that game, and the under is probably where you should be looking. So if that's a game of interest to you, it's a game of interest to everybody. And especially since these last couple of weeks, we've been talking about where the Chiefs sit right now. They sit at 12-1 with 3 games to go. We know they're going to lose it. They're going to lose at least 1 out of the next 3, possibly 2 out of the next 3. This weekend could be the right weekend for it. So, like I said, if you're looking at that game, I would suggest looking at the under. And I'm walking away from the actual game action. You're going to be surprised at a couple things you see to that roster that you don't know about right now. At least the starters on Sunday. I'm going to leave that there. I can't go further into it. I'm going to get into financial strategy, because that's how this whole thing started. I'm glad that these picks are doing well and everybody's making money off the picks, but I just want to let everybody know this is the strategy I'm taking this week. This week, when I post the picks, I only have 6 total picks this week, possibly 7. I need to double check a couple things before I post them, and I'm going to post them after we're done recording here. But we've been looking at 10, 11, 12 games a week. This week, we're going into pretty much the last week of college. After this, in college going forward, we're looking at only one-off games. We're looking at bowls that are, at nighttime. There might be a couple days where there's 4 or 5 bowls on, but we're not looking at a true college lineup anymore. So it becomes very easy to break down one game if you're just planning on playing that game. But here's what I'm recommending. Take all your winnings from last week and take your winnings plus 50% out. So I'm saying you take more out than what you won last week. Winnings plus 50% out. But then what I'm doing is I'm upping my action this week by 50%. So if you're a $10 better last week, you're a $15 better this week. Normally, I would say you only up it by 25% and you only take half of your winnings out. But what I'm doing is this is paying the potential loss forward. So we're taking the winnings from last week, and I'm planning on paying the potential loss forward. But what that does is on 7 games, I'm sorry, on 6 games, that only ends up being $90 worth of action versus last week on 11 games, which was 110 worth of action. But that ends up being $15 a game. I know none of you are betting $15 a game, but this is going to raise the impact of a loss, and this is also going to raise the impact of a win. And that's why I'm suggesting, and that's why I took that bigger cash out on Monday, is because we're gonna up the action because there's not going to be as much action. Some of these college games are not as attractive to me this weekend. I see a lot more risk than I have before, even in first half. And I'm looking for in-game stuff. We know we're going to find in-game stuff, but just looking at the pre-game investments, I'm not looking at going into this with a ton going on. So, and that's part of why I'm going to address some of the questions around certain games. So, uh, you know, think about the season in college and think about the last 2 weeks, and just if you can put the last 2 weeks together, it makes sense to take some risk here because it's almost over. And again, I've paid myself every week. Rob, I know since you've been at this about 3 weeks now, you paid yourself every week. I can't speak for everybody else, but I've advised that everybody pays themselves every single Monday to a certain pay structure. So at this point, you're paying yourself your profit from last week plus 50%, and you're upping yourself, and you're going from a $10 wager, or if you were $100 wager last week, you're going to 150 this week. And that's gonna create better winnings. But you've also created a little bit of a cushion for the risk that is a much smaller portfolio going from 11 games to down to 6 or 7. So anybody have any
Well,
questions?
and I had a nice about 20% run on this Bitcoin that I'm just letting sit.
I
So
mean, that's another piece to it. I mean, that's a whole other piece to play to it, is if you cash yourself out at the right time, now you're making money there too. So, anybody have anything about that? I'm happy to go further and explain it, but it's important to me to explain the way that I'm approaching the finance of it, because again, we can all pick games, but it's how you pay yourself and how you minimize that risk. And what I just laid out is my way of minimizing risk, yet paying myself a little bit more, knowing that I'm going into a time of risk and college is almost over. So again, I pay my bills this way. So with college coming to an end and Christmas around the corner and everything else, it's, I may be Jew magic, but my wife is, Christmas magic. So there is Christmas in this house. So Rob, anybody got anything about the finance piece going into this week?
uh no, somebody did say they do bet $10, and I told them I did too, so it's
All right,
good.
well, that's fine. If you bet $10, pay yourself your all your profit from last week plus 50% and bet $15 this week, and that's the structure. If you're betting $10, that's great. We've used that dollar amount as a measurement most of the season. Um, so
Yeah, and it
we're
doesn't
good.
matter. I mean, whatever you're betting, that's fine. It's just a percentage of that, right? So it doesn't whatever you're
Yes,
betting is what you do.
yes, and the statistics show that if you started the season at $10, you'd be betting about 150 right now, following the financial plan. So that's fine. If you're jumping in now with $10, you're not in a bad place either. We got some good picks coming. Um, I, I don't have any other crazy stuff other than if anybody else wants to jump in. I'm going to go straight to the Coastal game that I was asked about. Are you good with that, Rob? Everybody else good with that? Coastal?
Yeah, no, especially after what 2 weeks ago, that Coastal game, I'm good with that.
Well, so Coastal was this past week that I don't think we can be mad at them. I honestly, I was just happy that they won the game. And most of the time, I want to see a team lose if they're gonna not cover the spread. But Coastal's covered so much for us. I think last game was a little bit of a trap game for Coastal, which sounds crazy because they're coming off of the biggest game of the year. But Coastal, for me at this point at 3.5 is a walk away, and we all face this. Do you buy the hook? Do you not buy the hook? I'll never buy the hook. Not the only way I buy the hook is if it's still a -115. So I'm not going to buy the hook down to -125 or -130 on the payoff. But I think Coastal at 3 is probably a good place. But I'm looking to Coastal for in-game stuff. I just when I look at this Louisiana Tech, Coastal beat them earlier in the year, and they beat them by 3, and neither team is the same that they were back then. But Coastal was on the receiving end of 2 turnovers, so 2 takeaways for Coastal. La Tech doesn't turn the ball away. They just don't turn it over. They've only had 5 fumbles and 7 interceptions thrown all year. Part of what part of what makes Coastal really good is they are often starting from really good field position. They get turnovers, or they have pretty good defense against bad teams. They've played BYU, they've now played Liberty, Louisiana Tech, but they really haven't played a ton of good teams. And I love me some Coastal, but we just got to call a spade a spade. They haven't really had the greatest opponents. And Louisiana Tech is not a team that gives the ball away. They gave it away to Coastal 2 times last time they played, and they haven't given the ball away. I mean, they've played 11 games, and they've only given the ball away 12 times. So if you take away the 2 that they gave to Coastal, that's less than 1 turnover a game. Coastal is not really a deep throwing team. I mean, they can go deep, but they really are not a passing type team. And La Tech's got a pretty good run defense. I think that we're going to see a low scoring game. I looked at the first half. It's 14 and a half. I don't really like that one either. Normally we're all over Coastal at 14 and a half. Or 14, or normally anything under 17 for the first half on Coastal. But I think we're going to see the 14 and a half go down to under 12. I don't think that either team scores on the first drive. I think that Coastal's going to control the clock. Last time they played, they had 38 minutes of possession, and it was a pretty boring game. So I don't really see either team lighting it up. Although La Tech they hung 70 points a couple weeks ago. So I would say leave this one alone before the game starts, and see if you can catch a 2.5 or a 3 and take Coastal. Coastal's not going to lose the game. Where I really like Coastal is the next game, because the next game that they're going to be in, they're going to find themselves in a game against a big opponent. They're going to find themselves against a Power 5 opponent like Indiana. They're going to play Georgia, Florida, maybe USC, Oklahoma. I mean, they're going to play a team like that in a bowl game because of where they're ranked. Then I like Coastal because they're going to be a 17.5 point dog against a team that's not motivated to play against them. So whatever bowl game Coastal goes to, that's when I like them. I don't really like them in this spot against a team that knows them, that they've played against. So I uh, I don't know who threw that. I think it was Elliott that threw that out there. So that's where I sit with Coastal this week. Don't like them pregame. Everybody good with that?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, let's go Buffalo, Denver. So I'm going to keep this one real simple. NFL, Buffalo Bills, Denver Broncos. So if you take the Buffalo Bills, and there's only of their wins, there's 3 games that they've won by only 3 points. Miami, the Rams, and New England. And you could argue what New England is or isn't, but you still can't discount that defense and playing them earlier in the season before they proved to be pretty much nothing. But otherwise, you take their remaining games, they've won by an average of 9.5 points per game if you took those 3 games out. The last 4 games was a little bit higher than that. Denver's at the end of a 2-game road trip. And then what really has me on this game, and this is one of my picks, I love Buffalo in this spot. What really has me is Drew Lock is coming off of a performance at Carolina where he was 21 of 27, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. We're 12 games into the season right now, and the man has thrown 13 interceptions. So eliminate this game where he's thrown none. He averages over one interception per game, he's not going stainless again. Not against Buffalo. When Buffalo's going to take the lead, Josh Allen is performing like one of the best quarterbacks in football. He probably is. Buffalo 6.5 is a total gift in this spot. When they win by more than 9.5. Other than 3 games against 3 really good defenses. Denver has a decent defense, but their defense isn't as good when their offense is giving the ball away. So love Buffalo in this spot. I don't remember who asked the question, but this is an easy play, and you guys will see it when I post my picks here in a little bit. All right, USC Oregon. USC Oregon. So here's where I sit on this game. Um, I don't trust the game, and it's a total walk away. So the USC Oregon, USC's defense against Oregon's quarterback, that's what I really don't trust, because as much as everybody wants to focus on Herbert not being there anymore, this Oregon quarterback is on the same track to be just as good. And USC, we remember that big primetime performance where they had 38 points in the first half. Oregon's not going to turn the ball over to them like that. So USC is not going to be any type of beneficiary of turnovers. When you look at UCLA and the performance they're coming off of, UCLA should have beat them and could have beat them. UCLA just needed to have a little bit more defense, which Oregon does. So, but at the same time, UCLA is capable, or I'm sorry, USC is capable of forcing all kinds of turnovers. So this game is risky to me. Oregon has been off since the 5th of December. So when we get to kickoff, Oregon will have been off, flirting with 2 weeks. And I feel like USC is going to win and cover. It's only 3 points, but there's so many things I like about Oregon in this matchup that made me walk away from it. I'm not touching this game. In fact, this is tomorrow night. The game that I'm looking at tomorrow night, I would say if you want action tomorrow night, take the University of Buffalo. University of Buffalo has one of the best young running backs in football. I'm sure everybody's seen highlights. He's averaging 200 yards a game, and they're playing against a team that cannot stop the rush. Cannot stop the rush at all. So it's going to be a lot of the same. It's a 13-point spread. I'm all over it. My play tomorrow is the University of Buffalo. USC will be on a second screen because that's a Pac-12 championship game, and somehow there's going to be trash talk as to how USC should be in if they win and cover. But USC Oregon feels like a risk to me. Buffalo does not. Take the University of Buffalo, even though it's not the great game to watch. We're trying to make money, and I think when you watch it, you're going to be highly entertained by this Tasmanian devil of a running back for Buffalo. We good? All right. San Jose State against Boise. Yeah, I gotta take a sip of beer. All right. San Jose Boise. This is where I sit with this. I like the over. I like the over 55. Both teams are averaging 30 and 35 points a game. So that alone tells me that over feels right. Boise's not great against the rush. San Jose State is better against the rush, and they also have the better defense. Neither quarterback is highly mobile, which means they can pass the ball down the field. And I like the San Jose State quarterback better than I like Boise's. And then if you look at their schedules are kind of the same. They've kind of played against the same schedule and done pretty much the same thing. If you look at the opponents that they've faced that have good offenses, Boise got beat by BYU. BYU hung 51 points on them. That's the best offense that they've faced. The best offense that San Jose has faced is Nevada. And I realize that we're talking about Mountain West teams. I mean, I realize we're not talking about Alabama and Florida and high flying offenses, but Nevada has a very good offense, pretty good pass offense, and another really good quarterback. But San Jose State held them to 20 points. So when you put it all together, San Jose State's got the better defense. The quarterback situation is about the same. Neither team really has a great defense, but again, San Jose State is the better one. So I think that if one team were to get a hold, it would be San Jose State. And then when you look at the spread, it's 6.5. So I think 6.5 San Jose State, that's a gift. Boise is a more comfortable name for everybody, so it seems crazy that San Jose State. Who are these people against Boise State? But that is going to be one of my plays. I like San Jose State over Boise, and I think it's an outright win. But at the same time, take the points. Don't be foolish. Take the points. We're betting higher dollar amounts. So, and I could break that game down further, but every time I go deeper into games, it ends up being a loss. So, whoever asked about that game, thank you for asking because I was already thinking about it. I think it was Andrew. Um, I love that play. I love San Jose State all day long in that play. So I don't really have much else. I'm gonna post the picks. I'm looking at Alabama this weekend. I think what I posted earlier on what I was talking about with the spread was Bama was a minus 120 at 17. I'm perfectly happy to lay 25 on Alabama. So waiting for that to go up to 17 and a half or 18 to get an even money payout or minus 105, I'm happy with it. I'm placing side bets on Alabama to cover 23 and 24 and 27. I don't think Florida stands a chance. I think that's the only game this weekend you truly need. If you want to put your mortgage on something, put it on Alabama, which again, I don't advise betting heavy on any one game versus the other, but there's no way that Alabama doesn't win this game by 20. Florida has absolutely no shot in this game. Who else? Jesse, you want to talk about that? You want to talk about that page you posted against the spread?
Uh, Jesse, you there? His mic's
Yes.
off. He's listening, but it's not sounding like it.
All right. What do you
Yeah,
got,
yeah. I'm
Rob?
sorry. I'm here, Bubba.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I had to get outside the house. The kids are playing stuff, so they're like screaming. Yeah, I was just curious about that the post on there. If that's buddy of mine, he does the same kind of stuff, and we were talking about it, and they were looking at. I thought I came across that. I was like, huh. I started looking into the page. And I was like, well, some of the stuff is actually pretty good. Is that something you could really base a lot of your bets off of, like going through the NFL? Is a good way to track it like that?
It every little bit helps, like every little bit helps. I don't know how many of you, I know Rob for sure, but I don't know how many of you have been to the racetrack or like to play the ponies. But the more however you break down the information in the program to make your decision, it helps. Miami, that doesn't surprise me. I don't like Pittsburgh this week. I don't like Pittsburgh at all. I think that they're a fake ID. Pittsburgh can't catch the ball. um, but looking at the best teams based on margin of cover, I love Washington, and that's going to be one of my picks this week too. I liked Washington when they were 5. I like them even more now that they're 6. Washington is the best defense over the last 4 or 5 weeks. The only reason their defense isn't better on paper statistically is because their offense doesn't give them enough of an advantage to gain those extra sacks. Kind of the same reason like the Chiefs defense is a lot better this year. Well, they're playing with the lead a lot more. So what they're going against becomes more predictable. Washington doesn't have that advantage. Typically, their offense hasn't been able to score points, so their defense is not necessarily playing in a predictable situation where they can just get after the quarterback. But if you look at their defensive line, they got first round Bama, first round Ohio State, and Chase Young is going to be possibly the defensive player of the year. So that defensive line of Washington, that piece I absolutely love. I thought that the Jets is pretty interesting because we got burned by them earlier in the season, and then the Cleveland biggest over surprised me because I guess I just don't connect Cleveland with a team that scores a lot of points. Although we've played them quite a bit, and Cleveland, Vegas, and Tennessee. I mean, I just think of those teams, Tennessee and Cleveland, as running teams that don't put up a lot of points. So this is a good piece to look at. It made me think about some other things, that's for sure.
So why didn't Cleveland just down the ball and make me pretty happy for the week?
because it's Monday Night Football, and you got no business playing a Monday Night Football game. And knowing you didn't bet a .25 unit. You missed the whole weekend. You missed a 7-4 weekend, 4-1 college, and you decided, well, you know what, I got to get in on something. So I'm just going to put $1,000 on this game, and then I'm going to bitch at Jew Magic when I lose it because that's who you are, Rob.
Well, the good news is I'll send you more pictures for my weekend. That was pretty good, so it was well worth it. Number one. Number two, yeah, that's exactly what I did. But good news is I've cashed out $2,500 in the what 3 4 weeks we've been playing, so it's not too
That's how you
bad
do it.
for yeah for what 25 initially up to about $75 a game. So it's been working out pretty good. So I do have a couple questions because we're not getting uh
No, let's
much
do it.
much on here. And I posted the menorah that I'm lighting at the house. So anything tonight?
I I it's Thursday night. I don't feel great about Thursday night, but I would play the Raiders.
All right.
I mean, the Raiders coming off a loss like that, I would play the Raiders. But it's a division game. I that they played each other already. The Raiders are coming off a humiliating loss against a really good defense, but at the same time, you look at the Chargers. They're coming, they're coming off of a win that might give them confidence. I don't know. The Chargers have weird ways of losing games late, and I just think that the Raiders are not out of this thing. Like I think that the Raiders belong in the playoffs. So, but again, I've done no breakdown on this game, none at all. So this is not an educated opinion. But I would take the Raiders and 3 points. I think that that's an easy one. I think the only reason that the game is at 3 right now is because the Raiders are coming off of the kind of loss they're coming off of, and the Chargers are coming off of a win. And that's the only reason I think it's 3. I think the 3 is a gift. So,
Yeah,
but again,
the Chargers
but
defense is just bad.
yeah, and again, I'm giving you my first opinion, no film breakdown. At this point, I don't even think film breakdown matters in some of these NFL games because there's 3 games to go and all the rules are going to be out the window. So I mean, I have a full card of NFL picks this weekend, but and we got Saturday football. I mean, we just talked about Buffalo. That's a Saturday football. It's going to be the weirdest thing on earth. I don't know how to get a 4th screen into my house. My wife's in the next room. I hope she didn't hear me, but I'm going to have to figure out a way to take the TV out of the bedroom and put it in the living room because now we're going to have NFL on Saturday too.
Yeah, and to be clear, I just kind of threw that one at you just because I'm probably the other side of this instead of the more conservative, betting that you're doing and stuff like that. I just want some action. I'm just having some fun too. So I know that's part of the sports betting world, and I know you're not a big fan of that, but I was just wondering your thoughts on that. So
I'm
I,
I'm a fan of it. It's a different approach, and everybody on this call may be in it for something different, but it is a different approach when you're doing it to pay bills than when you're doing it to just make a couple $100 in a night and get the hell out of it, and it's just a fun side hobby. So I approach it as I'm investing. It's a career. I'm taking pay. This is a consistent paycheck. So the advice I give everybody, if I'm too conservative, I apologize for it, but I'm taking the approach as somebody that is making a living off of this. And this whole Discord page is about investing, and every one of you talks about cash out. Just before we started this call, Rob, you were talking about what to do with $500,000, where the best place to put it is to get return but not get hurt. So I approach the sports betting that way, and I that's the advice I give.
Well, this page is about investing and making money. Oh,
Oh wow, I don't know who that was, but I feel like Rob is gonna get nasty.
no, they just got muted. It's okay.
That's awesome.
No, it's good. Hey, I do have one other question though. This somebody else I've been talking to just about this Action Network and basically money percentages on the bets in Vegas. What do you
Yeah.
put any stock in that?
Well, what does that mean? Money percentages in Vegas? I don't.
So
I
it's
guess I don't.
basically, so Action Sports does they tell the percentage of who's on the retail sports guys and what percentage they're betting on the game, basically.
Well, there is value there. There is value there, but it's I don't know how people are being classified because if I'm a big Colin Cowherd guy, and if you listen to him, he gives his blazing five every Friday, and then he has a guy that comes in and says, he analyzes Colin's picks, and what he'll say is, the sharps are on this. Well, what does that mean? Because I mean, if you Google the definition of a career sharp, it's a person that makes their living off of it. So I consider myself a sharp, but I don't know how much money it takes. I don't know how they're classifying a sharp. So what's sharp money? What's public money? I don't know. But any statistic you get that helps you make a decision, that helps you win, can't be wrong. I'll never say no to any of that. The only statistics that I think don't help in sports opinions are fantasy football. There's so many people. I was just talking to a buddy earlier about there's so many people that have been down on Mahomes a couple weeks ago. The dude threw 300 yards. He's winning football games. He's thrown 5 interceptions all season. I mean, that's a pretty incredible thing. But because he didn't score a certain amount of fantasy points, and I don't look at that. I just look at what he's going to do in the game and how that affects everything. So any stats that are going to help you make a decision. I mean, if flipping a coin is proven to win 75%. God, give me your coin. I'm happy to flip it. I mean, please. So it's there's no right or wrong answer. It's when you go to the racetrack and you pick up the racing form, whatever's jumping off the page, you go with it. I have my own approach to how I break down games. Everybody's seen the statistics. So, whether you do or don't trust my plays, that's my approach. I could just as easily be losing these games and you guys could be getting on here to heckle me every week.
Well, we're glad that's not happening. If you don't mind, will you post a link or to the ESPN thing that you'll be doing later tonight, or so we can start following that as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. I'm probably gonna need somebody's help doing it, but I'm sure everybody has a Facebook page. It's Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, and if you go to it through your Facebook and like it, when you get on their page, there's probably another link for live. But when we get off of this, I mean, I'll get a younger, smarter friend to help me with that. But I'll get it posted. And again, there's a lot of people. And when football's over, he gets into everything. When football's over, I start doing hockey, and he's got a lot of guys that are really good with basketball. So if anybody's looking for that kind of action, I know Jesse's been on the soccer lately, and there's probably a lot of smarter opinions than mine for basketball, college, and everything else when this is over. And Rob, we should probably look at getting a bracket together, a Discord Chicago option trader bracket together.
We should, and don't worry, Mohammed. Your younger, smarter friend posted it for you.
That's awesome. he knew he was going to be the one. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, cash some tickets this weekend. We posted I tried last weekend to make sure that I posted every single live bet that I thought would pay. And I think most of them did, with the exception of a couple. So hopefully you guys caught a lot of that live action. I'm sorry if I get demanding when I say now, but I'm trying to get everybody's attention because these spreads, if you don't have fast fingers, they disappear on these in games, and most of them did pay. So I'm happy that of that. But on Saturday and Sunday, my phone is in my hand, and Saturday happens a lot faster than Sunday because there's so much going on. Sunday is a little bit slower paced, and there's not as many games going on. And so, but if you stay on the page on Saturday and Sunday, I've been posting those live in game ones that I think are no lose. And when I say now, I'm telling you right now, I'm loading up. I'm betting this. This is what I'm doing. So if I say it's interesting, I'm just telling you to take a look at it and see where it goes. But when I say now, just know that I'm playing that and I'm lighting Rob up and Rob is probably putting 10 grand on it because that's who he is. And Saturday happens faster than Sunday.
Yeah, and just I want to say something you can always play on Thursdays and those Monday night games that you always stay away from. That's at least this is for Rob. Our prop bets are always fun. You can get the small ones in there for if you have you want to base a bet on the team. You're scared defense with that, but you have bets like last prop was Lamar Jackson rushing for over 60 yards against the Browns. Like that was an obvious thing. It's going to happen. He's in the last like 3 weeks. I've played him on prop bets for rushing, and he hits it all the time. Against the Cowboys, he lit him up. It was like 40 yards in the first half, and he had like 65. I mean, prop bets like that, those would be the fun little action ones you can do, and you can parlay those things and really have a nice little stack for some small bets. But those are just extra fun things you can do.
Yeah, and I've seen Justin post some of those too. So those are fun to get into. Thursday night for me, if I lose Thursday night, I'm biting my nails on Friday, dying to get into Saturday to do something stupid that I have to explain to my wife on Monday morning. And that's just the stance I take on Thursday. If I win it, I'm doubling everything. I have an ego. We all do, and it's the emotional side of things that I try and control with those standalone games. If I lose an 11 o'clock game on Saturday, who cares? It doesn't even matter. By 3 o'clock, I don't even care what happened at 11 o'clock because we're up 5-1.
For sure.
So, all right, guys, cash some tickets this weekend. Stay on the page. It sounds like the link was posted, so I'm gonna get ready to go do that. I'm gonna go put on a collared shirt and shine up. So I'll talk to you guys later. Text me if you need anything. Cash some tickets this week.